Hey people, it's been a while since I put a video out or have talked to you guys, but here I am. I'm about to do a little bit of a talk and just tell you what's going on. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. The very beginning was that I was heading out into the forest because I was looking for rock piles, which I found one years and years and years and years ago, and I dug into it, and I eventually went down about 15 feet, and it was still going a little bit, and it was kind of widening out at the bottom more or less, and there was huge, massive rocks lining it. Anyway, so that's what I've been looking for. So I moved to this place, and I found out that I was dealing with somebody out in the forest. Every day I went out there with my wolf dog, and at first I thought, well, maybe it's some kind of vet that's in the forest and he's living out there, or maybe a homeless person or something like that, but I never found it or anything, so that was that. But I did come across somebody dealing with me and giving me things and moving stuff around, and so it became a little game, and eventually the thing or being or whatever gave me a deer skin, which was kind of weird, and so I didn't keep it. I never keep anything that I get given unless it's, well, actually I don't keep anything, so well, no, I did. They used to give me some bones and stuff like that, pieces of bones, and I would keep them, and I actually have them, and I have hair, and I have all sorts of stuff. So anyway, we'll go back to that. Okay, so I moved from that place, and I moved to a different place, and next thing I know, I'm seeing things in the sky, and I go outside, and I keep seeing these, let's just say, lights going towards this mountain. And I go, that's weird. And I just see him for years going over. And one year it went over, and it was about maybe 100 feet, 150 feet over my head. And it was 3 lights. And I looked up into the light, and as it went over, and it looked like water changing color, if you can imagine that. So anyway, next year, I happened to be out there again, and at around the same time, and again this thing came overhead and went over my head exactly the same way, and I looked up into the light. This time I was determined to tell what it was, to see if the lights were joined or anything like that, but I couldn't tell. And again the light went over, and I looked up into it, and it looked like water, shimmering water, and that's all I can say about that. So anyway, I got all excited about that, and I started thinking, well, I'm going to buy some cameras and all that, which I did, but I never had one near me when I needed one, so I never really got any pictures of it. So anyway, I said, well, it's going up to this mountain, so I'm going to go up to the mountain and see what's up there. So I went up there, and what did I find? I found a big pile of hair up there, and I videotaped it. That's video 1. And you know the rest of the story. I've been just constantly dealing with these beings up there, and since the first encounter I've had so many things happen, it's ridiculous. Like, anyway, so I got to the point where I would do trading, and they would move stuff around, and it became where they were teaching me how they do their stuff and what they're doing. And that's basically what I think they're trying to do, is trying to teach me. But anyway, I learned how to follow them, and I learned how to know if they're there, and I found out, and I just tested this, but it was because I started seeing things that just didn't make sense, like these cut branches and other things that were happening, and I figured, okay, well, somebody has technology or something, because this is like a laser or something. It cuts And so I said, oh, okay, I'm going to try some experiments. And as you know, if you've been watching my series type thing, I did do experiments, and I found out that there are beings up there, and they have technology, and they're up there, and they seem to be wanting to deal with me, because they don't have to. I mean, they never had to make themselves known to me, but they do. They came to my house. They left a nice big pile of droppings, which, yeah, I guess I'm the only one in the world that knows anything about that, what they look like, these droppings. And this being is white, and it's got long hair. Well, it's about, you saw it, about 6 inches long. And it cuts it off in the winter and in the spring, and grows it in the winter. What was I just saying? Okay, so they have technology, and that's what I found out. And why they're doing things with me, I don't know, but they play games with me and stuff like that. So I got to the point where I figured, okay, I can hear them like next to me. It became a game where they would just rustle trees or stomp on the ground or something. And at first I thought they were running, and I figured, well, they do like 1 or 2 or 3 steps before they stop. But they either stop or they just go into a different dimension. Now, I don't like to think about dimensions and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there might be, that's a truth or something, but I don't like to think that way. I like to try to come up with natural solutions first before I would start going into paranormal and dimensions and stuff like that. So anyway, but so I was thinking that maybe they went into underground, and they were standing next to these holes that they have, and somehow they could be spring-loaded doors or something like that. And maybe my weight isn't heavy enough to open these doors, and their weight is. So if they walk on it and they weigh 800 pounds, they'll just go boom into the door and go into the ground, whereupon I could walk in the same place and I wouldn't open the door at all. Or they have a key, and it could be some technology that they can open the door, because Native Americans used to say that they would go into the ground or come out of the ground. I did find out one place which I believe is the doorway, and it's under some water, and you'd have to swim down into the water and then come up underneath the land, and then you would go up into their caverns or whatever. I believe that these aren't caverns and all this. I believe these are buildings that were built maybe thousands of years ago, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And they've all grown over, but these people, or let's not say these people, but the beings out there know of these places and actually live down in there. And they have technology. Now, okay, now we're going to get to the point where the lights. Okay, so the lights go up there, and they obviously interact with somebody up there. So the beings and them are interacting. Everything happens at this one place. I mean, I can go into other forests, and there won't be anything happening. And I can tell now, because I've been doing this for so many years now. And I've learned, like I said, what to look for. And I can tell right away, practically, if anybody's in there. If it's a spot or something. But I get drawn to these other places too, that all these, let's say, paranormal things happen. And I call them the light beings, because that's what they show me, except for video 46, where they showed themselves, and I think that was a mistake, and they didn't mean to do that, but they were trying to figure out the camera. And I'll say more about that. I'm beginning to believe that my cameras go into infrared mode, and when they're around, and I'm beginning to think that maybe when it goes into infrared mode, the camera does, the video camera, the trap camera, that it's actually shielding them. That for some reason, if you put IR light on them, it makes them invisible to our eye, and that's why they would do that, because I've done quite a few experiments, and I've even done experiments where I've pointed two cameras at each other and none of them filmed the other, but they went into the IR mode, and then they were clips instead of just one long video. They came out clips, and there was time missing, and there was like 10 minutes missing out of one camera. But the interesting thing was it went into IR mode, and the camera doesn't even have IR mode, this video camera. So that was really strange. I mean, I have had so many strange things happen. I've done so many experiments that I haven't even told anybody about. I've had other people with me, and they've experienced these things. And the last thing, well, I'm not even going to talk about that one, but it's obviously somebody's out there, and there's more than one. There's a bunch of them, and there's different beings out there. There's Sasquatch, who I don't know where he comes from, but he appears every once in a while, and I see his footprints going through this area, but just occasionally. But these other beings are like hiding, and I don't know if they're hiding. Well, they're not hiding from me, because obviously they let me know that they're there, but they're hiding from somebody. Now, I don't know if Bigfoot is really a nice guy. You know, he might be hunting these other guys, because I've seen just so many things that just suggest that somebody is taking precautions to sorry about that, I hit the button. To keep somebody else away, or at least know that if somebody is coming, by laying down sticks or things like that, and they leave signs that are obviously like borderlines to say that they're there. I've seen so many things. But so anyway, where am I now? I'm at the point where I had missing time happen twice in this forest, this one area, and once in another place where I ended up a mile away from where I thought I was, and all the video clips that I was taking weren't there, and that's on one of my videos. But anyway, this other place, I've had missing time twice, and I've been in the forest. I get there in the morning, and I'd be sitting down next to this one place, and it would be 4 o'clock in the afternoon suddenly, and I would feel like I needed to go home, and that happened twice. But I've tried to stay out there in a different part of the forest for 7 hours, and I can't do it. I can't sit there for 7 hours. I just go stir crazy. So I can last a couple hours. So how I ended up doing 7 hours twice, and all the video that I took was missing, and in another time there was clips missing. So something's obviously happening out there now. I'm beginning to think that this place is like a machine, that underneath there's a device or a machine that is running this area up there, and the UFOs all go up there to do something there, and the beings up there are either running the place and or just living with it and know about it underneath the ground there, and are living out their lives doing whatever they do. Now, why they want to do anything with me, I don't know, but it's a fact that I am here and I'm doing stuff with them. So what am I going to do next? Well, if you've been reading my things, I have an ability to do things psychically, and I haven't done this for many reasons, but I haven't done it because I don't know what will happen, and I used to be able to put myself into a trance and then ask questions in this trance world, and I'd get answers, and I think I've explained that in some of my videos. But anyway, I'm thinking that I should go out there and do that, but I also don't want to endanger my life either. So I've got a partner when the partner's around, and I can go out there and do this. somehow, if I don't do some other stuff first, I might just have to go out and ask questions again. They've never answered me, except they just showed me that they're there. Like you heard one of my experiments when I went out there and I put a recorder out there, and I had another speaker going, and I was asking questions, and I had an EMF meter out there, and it went off when I counted to 10 seconds when I was about to start the interview. And obviously there's no power out there, so whatever came close to that made that thing do that. I can't do cameras out there anymore. They won't let me do cameras. They just ruin them or whatever. Except for the last time. This is weird. I had a camera there. I don't think I've told you this. I put a camera out there, and it lasted. The batteries lasted for a year and a quarter, and they were fresh when I picked up the machine, and there was 170 video clips on it on a 8 gigabyte card. And when I got it home, anyway, the 8 gigabyte card had me picking up the video, the last little clip of me picking up the camera, and there was only 4 seconds left on the whole card. So that was strange, and you'd think, okay, that's a coincidence. But anyway, the camera batteries died immediately after that, after I got the thing home. They worked perfectly fine, and then they just died. This has happened a lot of times. I can go up there with fresh batteries in a camera or whatever I'm using, and I get up there and they're dead. They're just dead, flat. I take them out of the forest, and boom, they work again. Or there's just so many. If you've been following my thing, you know all these things have been happening. But so that was weird. But this was at a different place. This place is an old ruins from thousands of years ago, I presume. And this is at the top of this mountain. And what is another coincidence is this apex, which it's like an arrowhead formation. I mean, it's like a 90-degree building type wall type thing, and I think I've showed it. Yeah, I'm sure I did. But anyway, at the apex of it points north exactly, and it is exactly 1,000 feet up. Now, how would somebody know to build something 1,000 feet up exactly? Who knows? But they did, and it's facing north. And if this thing is anything, it's probably buried under 30-40 feet of dirt and all that. So it's all underneath the ground there. But anyway, this whole place is to me, I keep saying fort, but what I'm meaning is a building. It's a huge structure underground, I think. And everything points to it, as you've seen in everything. And there's somebody who lives there. I mean, there are beings there that live under the ground right there. And there are beings that come from the sky. I would never suggest to myself that these beings come from different planets, etc. That's something I'll find out later on. But I always think that people are right from here. Like, everybody is from here, and they can live here, but they're just doing something else somehow, and we don't see them. And I'm beginning to think it has to do with light and how we perceive what we see and what our eyes can see. And I think we've got blinders on our eyes, and I think there are things out here that can be seen if we could see that light. Which would bring me back to this other thing, that why have I been able to see these ships? And I've had people here, and they've seen these ships going out. They materialize in midair. They do all sorts of things. And I think I've been just starting to tell people about that. And I've been showing some videos. I don't show them all because you would actually have to be here to really get the gist of what I'm trying to show you. But anyway, it seems like over this area, things just appear, and they're going up there and doing something with somebody. What it could be, I don't know, but I'm thinking that it's a machine up there, and maybe it's a power source that they can get power from there. Maybe it's a doorway, a vortex of some sort, that or a doorway that you can come from wherever they come and come out here, or something like that. But that's, let's get back to the alien part. That's the hardest part, is because nothing that I can think of would be able to figure out what they're doing, because they're aliens. And I mean alien in the sense that I don't know anything about them. They have a better understanding, obviously, of me than I have of them. I don't have a clue what they're doing or why or anything like that. But it still comes back to the fact that they are doing something with me. Why are they doing something with me? What am I supposed to do next? I've been doing this for years now. And up until now, I've been just proving it to everybody, even though I've known it all the time. But I've been proving it to everybody and trying to figure out ways of showing people that things are happening out there. And I think I've proved that a couple hundred times over. But what I need to do now is take it a step further and meet these people, but remember it. See, I think the time-lapse thing was I met them, and hopefully I gave them something to think about, and well, that's all I'm hoping. I have no idea. I just have no idea, but I'm thinking that what I need to do is have questions in my mind, solidly put into my mind, so that if I do meet them, I'll say those questions. Or maybe I did, I mean, the fact that they did it twice is either that there's this machine there, if you go there and you sit, maybe the machine automatically takes you, let's say, under the ground and into the building or whatever, and it's you're supposed to know what you're there for, or you're supposed to be there, but I'm not supposed to be there, and so they send me back. I mean, I'm just like hitting straws here, but I don't know. But obviously there's somebody who's doing something with me and wants something of me. They don't harm me in any way. But they do show me stuff, and they play with me. I mean, it's just amazing what they do. So that's where it's at. There's tons of lights. I've seen what looks like fireflies, and they can turn into ships. I've seen so many things. I've just seen so many things happen, but lately I've had a partner to do these things with, so I realize that they are real. I mean, I know, not that I ever doubted it, but somebody else wanted to see if these were real, if I was telling the truth, and not that they didn't believe me, but they wanted to see, and so they met me, and I showed them. We saw so many things. I went to this one place, and I said I won't use cameras here anymore, and I said if you'll give me a light show. And I asked because they said that they were well, they didn't say they were light beings. That's all I caught on for 5 years on this camera, was lights happening and all just things like that. And I was obviously at the doorway of this vortex, doorway, whatever, dimension, outlet, inlet. I was obviously, my camera was right there, and it was in the way of them, because for 5 years, well, you saw all the video. But anyway, I went there, and they gave me a light show, which was just awesome. We sat there until about midnight, and oh, we just saw so many things. We went back and we'd see him again, and all sorts of things happened. There was one video where we were standing there and the video camera didn't take our video. It was all hazy, and it was not a hazy night or anything like that. But oh gosh, there's just so many things that happened. But so I'm at the doorway of this place, and I'm thinking that I would need to figure out a way of getting in, but I can't go in the waterway and do that. I just can't do that. It would be too dangerous. But I try to figure out how to get a camera in there maybe, but you know, everything takes money. And the stupid thing is now that they are ruining my cameras. I mean, I'm going through so many pieces of equipment. They do not want me to use cameras anymore, and they're not letting me. So that's out of I can't do that anymore. I can bring cameras with me and I can tell them, I can actually ask them not to ruin my equipment, and they won't. But it's when I don't say anything that my equipment gets ruined. I don't know how they do it, but they program the instrument or whatever to act randomly or do whatever. I can't. It's kind of annoying. So now I have cameras that sometimes work and sometimes don't. And I just came across this again. I used this camera, what had been going in and out for some reason, but when it works fine. So the other night I was filming some lights, and I couldn't film the light. My camera just kept on saying air, and all this time I'm looking at this light with my bare eyes, and it's doing things. It's turning into a ship. It's flying around, and it's changing colors, and it's starting to take off and go across the sky, off over the horizon, and I'm still watching it. And then when it was pretty far away, all of a sudden my camera started working again, and I took video of it, but it didn't take. It was so far away by then, you can't really. It's just one of those lights again. But when it was close up and it was practically over my house, I was just sitting there, and somebody was there, and I was just telling them what it was doing, and I could not get my camera to work. But so cameras are really not working for me now, and I don't know exactly why, but they don't want me to use cameras anymore unless I ask, and then probably they're not going to show me all the stuff they would show me with my bare eyes. But so that's what's happening.